Beyond the gate's spoilers, Chelsea sat alone in the dim glow of the abandoned arcade, her breath shallow as neon lights flickered overhead. Each glow of red and blue seemed to pulse in time with her racing heart, reminding her of the storm crescendoing within. She had watched Madison from afar for months, learning every nuance of her smile, every inflection in her laughter, every quiet gesture that gave away the tender pulse hidden beneath Madison's poised exterior. Chelsea knew things about Madison nobody else suspected. Tucked behind that refined elegance lay a wounded soul, burdened by secrets and longing for connection. And though Chelsea's love was deep and true, the ache of unspoken devotion twisted into something darker, something fierce and unyielding. She remembered the first time she discovered Madison's real identity, not just the artist's facade that everyone admired, but the girl who once ran barefoot across moonlit fields, thirsty for freedom. Once, while tracking Madison's public appearances to feed her own obsession, Chelsea had uncovered a faded newspaper clipping hidden in the archives of an old library. It spoke of a young woman named Madison who vanished from her hometown years ago, leaving behind a trail of rumors. Only a single grainy photograph remained, Madison smiling shyly beside a cherry blossom tree. When Chelsea compared that photograph to Madison's face under similar lighting, every contour aligned. The revelation had ignited something in her, a vow to protect Madison at all costs, even if that meant pulling the strings from the shadows. Tonight, Chelsea's gaze was fixed on Madison and Hayley, two figures standing by the entrance, bathed in the cold glow of the street lamp outside. Their laughter drifted in through the cracked door, soft and genuine, and something inside Chelsea twisted with envy. She had seen those two together before, moments stolen in the back hall of galleries, clandestine kisses beneath scaffolding, gentle hands brushing hair aside. In each flicker of memory, Madison's face shone with a happiness Chelsea yearned to claim for herself. But seeing them now, so intimate and unguarded, felt like betrayal. A cold determination settled in her chest. If Hayley would not step aside willingly, Chelsea would make her disappear. She traced the edge of her phone's contact list, fingertips trembling not with fear, but anticipation. There was a number, just an anonymous line, that led to someone who answered to no one. Whispered threats, carefully doctored evidence, small but cruel accidents. Chelsea had thought through every possibility in the silent hours of the night. She imagined Hayley's car sliding off a rain-slick road, the single windshield wiper slicing through darkness as tires lost traction. Or perhaps a misplaced bottle of medicine that triggered a scare, a heart attack for which there would be no witness. It felt ruthless, even monstrous, but Chelsea convinced herself it was necessary. Madison's heart belonged to her, and no one would stand between them. Inside, Madison glanced up, sensing the solitary figure peering in. Her smile faltered as she saw Chelsea's eyes burning with an intensity she'd never fully understood. For a moment, Madison's confusion mirrored Chelsea's own turmoil. Hayley squeezed Madison's hand, guiding her into the arcade's false sanctuary. They stepped into the ruins of peeling posters and silent pinball machines, oblivious to the weight of Chelsea's gaze. The door swung shut with a mournful creak, and Chelsea, cradling the edge of the frame, felt her resolve solidify. In the days that followed, Chelsea orchestrated her campaign with chilling precision. She began with subtle pressure, anonymous texts to Hayley, warning her of dangers that would befall her if she did not abandon Madison. A photo of the two women in mid-embrace, tagged with an ominous silhouette in the background. Hayley stared at the message in disbelief, her breath catching as she scrolled through. Who would do such a thing? She looked at Madison that evening, uncertainty flickering in her gentle eyes. Did you send that? Madison asked, voice barely above a whisper. Hayley shook her head, lips pressed tight. I don't know who would want to scare Mia why they care about us. Madison's brow furrowed. She reached for Hayley's hand, skin warm beneath her fingers. We'll figure it out, she said, though doubt trembled in her voice. Chelsea watched from the shadows as Madison put on a brave face. She caught the tremor in Madison's jaw, the way she pressed her lips together to hide the worry. Chelsea's heart clenched with triumphant relief. The plan was working. Doubt had seated itself in Madison's mind, and Chelsea intended to cultivate it until Madison would turn back to her, seeking comfort. The second phase began with a whisper campaign. Chelsea created fake social media profiles, casting Hayley in a cruel light. Rumors of infidelity, claims that Hayley had used Madison for connections and publicity. Screenshots circulated among the fan community, spreading like wildfire. Comments questioned Hayley's motives, her sincerity. Madison woke up one morning to a digital storm, messages accusing Hayley of betrayal, speculating about secret scandals, urging Madison to open her eyes. She sat at the kitchen table, early light creeping through the curtains, her phone buzzing relentlessly. Each notification felt like a hammer blow. Hayley dawned beside her, her face pale. "Madison, I swear I never did any of that. I love you." Madison's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I want to believe you," she murmured, voice cracking. "But everyone's saying." "No," Hayley interrupted fiercely. "It's not true. Please trust me." In that moment, Chelsea felt her chest tighten. Madison reached for Hayley's hand again, and their fingers intertwined. The intimacy was more potent than any arrow Chelsea had loosed. She realized that mere rumors might not be enough. She needed something tangible. Something that would fracture their bond irrevocably. Late that night, Chelsea slipped into Hayley's apartment. She had acquired a key weeks earlier, under the guise of dropping off urgent documents. The hallway was silent, the air thick with perfume left smeared on the threshold. Inside Hayley's bedroom, Chelsea found a plain glass bottle of vitamins on the bedside table. She spilled the capsules into a small bag she carried with her, a bag stocked with chemicals she had ordered in untraceable shipments. Each vial held a subtle poison, enough to cause nausea, dizziness, heart palpitations, but not enough to kill outright. A scare, she told herself. Enough to force Hayley away, but not end her life. Still, even that line wavered in her mind. If this did not work, what then? She replaced the vitamins with the poison-laced capsules, sealing the bottle back as though nothing had occurred. Chelsea hesitated at the doorway, gazing at the neatness of Hayley's sanctuary. Photographs of Hayley smiling, of her and Madison at art openings, lined the dresser. Chelsea's vision swam with conflicting emotions: guilt, longing, love. But the overriding current was jealousy, powering her onward. Within hours, Hayley felt the effects. What began as a dull headache sharpened into waves of nausea so severe she could barely stand. She stumbled into the bathroom, clutching the porcelain sink, ball rising in her throat. Tears sprang to her eyes, tears not just of physical pain, but of frustration and confusion. She needed help. Madison answered the frantic phone call in minutes. "Hayley?" Madison's voice quivered when Hayley managed to croak out her ordeal. "I'm on my way." When Madison arrived, she found Hayley collapsed on the floor, pale and weak. Without hesitation, she scooped Hayley into her arms, calling emergency services. At the hospital, Hayley's symptoms were a puzzle. No obvious cause, no classic signs of allergic reaction, only a frantic worry that someone had tampered with her supplements. Madison stayed by Hayley's side through tests and observation, her own heart breaking as she watched the woman she loved suffer. Yet Chelsea derived perverse satisfaction from the chaos. She monitored hospital bulletins online, noting Hayley's condition improving, but still lingering with unexplained tremors. Her plan had begun to weave its threads into reality. Madison, however, remained oblivious to Chelsea's hand. Each time Madison brushed Hayley's hair back or pressed a cool cloth to her forehead, Chelsea's envy flared anew. How could Hayley be so close to Madison when Chelsea's love burned unspeakable depths? Days passed, and Madison, overwhelmed by worry, found herself pushing Hayley to distance herself, convinced that proximity risked Hayley's life. "You need to take time away," Madison pleaded, voice soft but urgent. "I can't watch you like this. You're hurting because of me." Hayley shook her head, wincing at the lingering dizziness. "No, Madison. I love you. I'll do whatever it takes to stay with you." Madison bit her lip, tears glistening. "I can't lose you." It was exactly the reaction Chelsea craved: doubt, fear, sacrifice. Madison was willing to let Hayley go, believing it was necessary to protect her. Chelsea imagined sweeping in, a white knight ready to heal Madison's wounded heart with her undying affection. But the scheme still hung unfinished. She knew the final blow had yet to be dealt. In the meantime, Madison grew withdrawn, her usual vibrant energy drained. On set, she stumbled through scenes with haunted eyes. Directors noticed her distraction. Crew members whispered about her apparent emotional turmoil. Madison pressed on, but her once bright smile seemed laced with sorrow. Only Chelsea witnessed the full extent of her despair. From her hidden vantage points wedged behind crates at filming locations, slipping into galleries, Chelsea absorbed every detail, committing each pained expression to memory. Late one evening, Madison slipped into the deserted soundstage where she rehearsed lines. She found herself murmuring into the emptiness, practicing conversations with Hayley that now felt impossible. "I don't want you to go," she whispered, voice echoing. "I just want us back." Chelsea emerged from the shadows, her silhouette sharp against the fluorescent lights. Madison froze, a gasp caught in her throat. Recognition flared in her eyes, and emotion Chelsea welcomed as a precursor to a final confession. "Chelsea." Madison's voice trembled. "Have you been watching me?" Chelsea allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. "I've been watching you, Madison. Watching you with Hayley, watching you fall apart." She stepped closer, the echoes of her boots hollow on the concrete floor. "I'm here to help you." Madison took a tentative step back. I don't understand." "I know what you need," Chelsea said, voice soft but insistent. "I know you better than anyone. Let me take care of you. Let me be the one you turn to." Madison's eyes flickered, torn between fear and relief. I don't know if I can trust anyone right now." "Trust me," Chelsea whispered, extending her hand. "I'll make this all go away." As Madison hesitated, Chelsea felt the world narrow to this moment, the cusp of triumph or ruin. She offered solace in her outstretched hand, but beneath that gesture lay the shadow of her darkest promise: no one would come between her and Madison again. Not Hayley, not fear, not even Madison's own doubts. In that heavy silence, Chelsea's heart pounded with anticipation, knowing that soon, the final act would begin and Hayley's fate would be sealed. Chelsea's confession hovered in the air like a fragile promise, and Madison's heart pounded as she weighed the peril in those dark eyes. But before she could respond, a sudden crash echoed down the hallway, metal hitting concrete, the sound of a door flung open. Hayley stumbled into view, frail yet determined, her wrist bandaged from the hospital, eyes blazing with equal parts fear and defiance. "Madison?" Hayley gasped, every breath ragged. She glanced between Madison and Chelsea, confusion and hurt flickering on her pale face. "Too heard you were here." Madison instinctively stepped toward Hayley, relief mingling with guilt for her earlier insistence that Hayley stay away. "Hayley, are you okay? I thought you needed rest." Hayley shook her head, pressing a hand to her temple. "I can't rest, not when I know you're in danger. Chelsea threatened me." Her voice broke. "She said she'd make me disappear if I didn't leave you." For the first time, Madison turned to Chelsea and saw the truth in her own fears reflected back, Chelsea's calm resolve, the unblinking gaze that had stalked them both. "Is this true?" Madison's voice trembled with betrayal and disbelief. Chelsea's lips curled into a small, knowing smile. I would do anything for you, Madison. Anything. Her tone was almost gentle, as if masking a deadly force behind affectionate words. Hayley's hand found Madison's. We have to get out of here, she urged, voice low. We need help. Madison hesitated, torn between the desperate need for safety and the twisted allure of Chelsea's devotion. She cast a look at Chelsea, whose poised figure seemed suddenly ominous against the flickering fluorescent lights. Then Madison turned back to Hayley, squeezing her hand. You're right. Together, they backed away slowly, never taking their eyes off Chelsea. With a single nod, that unspoken signal passed between them, escape at any cost. They bolted down the corridor toward the exit, adrenaline surging like fire in their veins. Chelsea's low murmur reached them as they ran. You can't run from me, Madison, she promised, voice echoing down the hall. Outside, rain began to fall in cold sheets, soaking into their hair and clothes as they burst through the arcade doors. Hayley half-carried Madison, whose legs trembled with shock. They darted across the empty street, seeking refuge under the awning of a boarded-up cafe. Hayley pressed her back against the wall, inhaling in great, shuddering gulps. I'm so sorry, Madison whispered, tears mixing with raindrops on her cheeks. I never meant for this to happen. Hayley shook her head, brushing wet strands from Madison's face. It's not your fault. Chelsea lied to both of us. She twisted my pain, made me doubt myself. But we'll get through this together. Madison forced a nod, drawing courage from Hayley's steady presence. Yet the distant rumble of thunder sounded ominously like Chelsea's vow of vengeance. They needed allies, someone to help protect them from the storm that was surely coming. By morning, their plight had become impossible to hide. Madison arrived on set pale and hollow-eyed, refusing crew offers of coffee or concern beyond a tight-lipped shake of her head. Hayley, claiming a sudden freelance assignment, appeared briefly and departed before anyone could press. Rumors swirled. Had their romance collapsed under the weight of scandal? Was Hayley truly gone, or had something worse befallen her? Chelsea, meanwhile, returned to her carefully constructed surveillance. From behind her laptop screen in a quiet apartment several blocks away, she monitored social media, fan forums, private messages, anything that could reveal Madison's next move. She planted ambiguous posts, photographs showing a lone figure walking in the rain, hood up, accompanied by a caption implying that Madison was mourning a lost love. Fans speculated wildly, offering theories about betrayal and heartbreak. Chelsea's plan to sever Madison from Hayley by any means necessary was unfolding beautifully. But Chelsea's reach had limits, and she began to realize that Madison's resilience was far stronger than she anticipated. Rather than retreat, Madison threw herself into work, late-night script readings, impromptu vocal rehearsals, art gallery openings, anywhere she could be seen, reminding the world that she was alive and unbroken. Each public appearance, each genuine smile, undercut Chelsea's attempts to isolate her. Madison's courage became an unexpected barrier against Chelsea's manipulations. Desperate to regain control, Chelsea escalated her tactics. She rented a small room in a rundown building to store the remnants of her plot, the tainted vitamins, anonymous letters, photos doctored to show Hayley in compromising situations. She reinforced her network of secret contacts. The untraceable number that had once delivered whispers of threats now arranged surveillance of Madison's vehicle, ensuring that Chelsea would know whenever Madison tried to slip away with Hayley. Every movement was catalogued, analyzed, anticipated. That night, Chelsea confronted her own reflection in a grimy mirror. For a moment, she confronted the truth she had buried. Her love for Madison was no longer purite, had corroded into obsession, a dark force that threatened to destroy them all. Yet as her eyes locked onto her own hardened expression, she dismissed the flicker of doubt. She would cleanse this world of all rivals, of every shred of threat to her devotion. Even if Madison ultimately hated her, even if she had to break her to rebuild her in Chelsea's image, it would be worth the price. Madison awoke the next morning to an urgent call from her manager. An envelope had been found taped beneath her car door handle, containing a single, blood-red petal and a note that read, "Stay away from her or lose everything." Madison's hands shook as she showed the note to Hayley, who arrived within minutes, worry etched on her face. "This is Chelsea's doing," Hayley said quietly, recognition flashing in her eyes. "The way the handwriting curves, it's the same as the messages I got." Madison closed her eyes, pain and determination warring within her. "We have to go to the police," she said at last, voice firm. "This can't go on." But Hayley hesitated, glancing toward the door as if expecting Chelsea to materialize at any moment. "They'll trace the note, the phone records. It'll only make Chelsea more desperate." Madison nodded slowly. "Then we have to outsmart her. We need a plan." They spent the day gathering evidence, comparing dates of the anonymous texts, tracing the IP addresses as far as they could, logging every suspicious encounter. Friends rallied to their side assistants, fellow actors, a tech-savvy cousin who offered to scrub their digital footprints and set up secure lines. Gradually, a small circle of allies formed around them, willing to stand between Madison and Chelsea's vendetta. As night fell, Hayley and Madison met in the sanctuary of Madison's apartment. The windows were shuttered, lights dimmed. On the coffee table lay the photographs of Chelsea's evidence proof of her intrusion, her threats, her sabotaged vitamins. Madison picked up one photo showing her and Hayley laughing beneath fairy lights. She traced the edge with a trembling finger. "I can't live like this," Madison whispered. "Constantly looking over my shoulder, scared for you, afraid of her next move." Hayley reached across and cradled Madison's hand in both of hers. "We won't. We'll face her together." A sudden knock at the door jolted them both. Heartbeats thundered as Madison exchanged a panicked look with Hayley. They rose, Hayley slipping into the kitchen to peer through the peephole. The hallway beyond was empty, no shadowy figure pressed against the door. "Maybe just a delivery," Hayley said, returning to Madison's side. "But don't open it." Madison exhaled, tension draining. Yet subtle evidence remained. On the mat by the door lay a single, red rose petal, vivid against the dull floorboards. Madison picked it up, turning it over in her palm. The message was clear. Chelsea was never far behind. In the days that followed, their lives became a high-stakes dance of surveillance and secrecy. Madison insisted on installing security cameras, but they covered only the building's public areas. Hayley rented a nondescript apartment in a different neighborhood, away from prying eyes, sleeping on Madison's couch when filming demands forced her to stay. They alternated schedules, never together for more than moments at a time. Love notes scrawled on sticky pads, hidden in wardrobes, whispered phone calls in hushed hotel suites. Their affection carried an undercurrent of fear, but also an iron resolve to endure. Chelsea, sensing her grip slipping, grew reckless. She began to follow them in person, shadowing Madison to early morning call times, tailing Hayley to the subway station. She photographed every interaction, the fierce hug when they reunited, the quick kiss stolen behind a pillar. With each snapshot, Chelsea's obsession deepened. She started leaving messages carved into tree bark in a park Madison frequented. "Madison, mine," the letters bleeding sap and promise. One evening, Madison and Hayley decided to confront the torment head-on. They lured Chelsea into a trap. Madison posted an open invitation on her public social media, a meet and greet at a quiet cafe, time and place unambiguous. They promised signed posters, candid conversation, an innocent gathering for fans. In reality, it was a staged confrontation. Madison's allies, 2 off-duty officers, and a private security consultant would be on site, ready to intervene. At the appointed hour, Chelsea arrived, drenched from an unexpected downpour, hair plastered to her skull. She carried herself with confidence, Madison's unwavering protector, moved by devotion. Chelsea stepped inside the cafe, eyes flicking until they found Madison and Hayley seated together, smiling beneath the soft glow of Edison bulbs. That smile fractured something deep within Chelsea's chest. "Madison," she said, voice trembling with wounded longing. "You asked me here. I'm here." Madison met Chelsea's gaze with a composed calm. "Yes, Chelsea. I needed to see you. To understand why you've done all this." Chelsea's eyes shifted to Hayley. "I did it for you." "I know," Madison said softly. "But love isn't a weapon. You hurt the person you claim to care for. You threatened Hayley's life, my safety, and for what? To drive us apart? To bring me closer to you under false pretenses?" Tears welled in Chelsea's eyes. "I was scared," she admitted. "Scared of losing you. I thought that if Hayley was gone, you'd have to turn to me." Hayley leaned forward, voice steady. "But you almost killed me. You tortured me, Madison, for your own gain." Chelsea's composure collapsed. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering despite the warmth of the cafe. "I never meant to kill you," she sobbed. I lost control." In that charged silence, the off-duty officers and security consultant emerged from their concealment. Hands hovering near concealed cuffs, they closed in on Chelsea quietly. Yet Madison raised her hand, stopping them. "It's okay," she said, voice firm. "Chelsea needs help, not jail time." Chelsea looked up, confusion and relief warring in her expression. Madison stood, smoothing her dress. "You'll come with me," she told Chelsea. "I can help you find a way back from this darkness." Hayley pressed Madison's hand, a silent vow of solidarity. Together, the three women moved toward the exit, one battered by obsession, two bound by love and forgiveness. Outside, the rain had stopped and the street lamps glowed like beacons of hope. Madison supported Chelsea's weight as they walked, guiding her toward a future none of them could yet predict. And though the danger was far from over, a fragile new alliance was born, one that would test the depths of forgiveness, the resilience of love, and the power of redemption in the chapters still unwritten.